Hi, my name is Zach Klopp, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the rise of Bitcoin, um, why it's important to our society, and some cool things that you can use it for. So, Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency which is traded completely online. So, basically, what you'll do is you'll go on to the site which is trades the Bitcoins, and then you'll put your US dollars forward, and then it'll translate into a Bitcoin, and you can therefore use that to purchase stuff in other countries, and they'll also have the universal currency of Bitcoin. Um, so Bitcoin currently is at $7,000. Previously, it started off at zero, but it's gone peaked all the way up at 20,000 in December, which is a really high amount for somebody that, let's say, you're in December and you're looking a year back, you would have made 1,100% increase on your investment. So for me, if I would have put $5,000 down on Bitcoin last December, then I would be able to already pay for college at this point and make $55,000. Is Bitcoin worth getting into? So Bitcoin is pretty risky on the side of investments. For, like as I said previously, it's 1,100% increase in the last year, which is really volatile when really good investors are looking for a 12 or 13 increase on the entire year. So Bitcoin's really risky just because it isn't backed by a physical object. For example, the US dollar is backed supposedly by gold in the treasury. So I can go in with my, let's say, 100 US dollars and go get that amount in gold. Whereas Bitcoin isn't backed by anything. So Bitcoin is completely online, and that's why the price of it changes so often and it's so volatile. So why is Bitcoin important for the society to further itself? So Bitcoin is basically it's universal, which is something that's super important because for everyone to connect as a society, universal finances is just so important. It's almost as important as an international language that everyone understood, in my opinion. So another cool thing about Bitcoin is it has every transaction is private. So when you go and trade a Bitcoin, or I want to buy this from somebody else and it's online, then you will basically be in a one-to-one correlation with that other person who's purchasing it. Normally, let's say I go to Walmart and I want to purchase some snacks. I'll go use my Bank of America card, I'll stick it in the machine, and then it'll go into my Bank of America card account and then out to Walmart. Whereas Bitcoin is just a one-to-one translation, which makes it super convenient for people that care about their privacy, don't really want to use banks, and don't want their stuff regulated. So another thing about Bitcoin is you're able to use it in everyday purchases. So a new company that's come out recently and it's been very successful is Square. So Square basically gives any company the opportunity to be able to send and receive Bitcoins without having to go through the whole process of going through a bank or any of the processing fees and stuff. So you're using Square, you'll basically just go and you're like, hey, I have my one Bitcoin here, it's worth $7,000, so I'll give you 0.005 of that Bitcoin in order to get something in return. So that's a pretty awesome thing because not only can it be used in the US, but it can also be used in other countries as well because it's a universal currency, which means it translates into each different dollar differently. So I started getting really into investing this year in school just because I thought of how interesting it is, how I can just basically put money into a different account and watch it grow without me having to do anything. A lot of my friends who are working a bunch are like, oh, well, I'm making this much an hour. I'm like, oh, well, I just have to put this much money away and I can see it grow without having to do anything. So it's something super important for even just normal people. It doesn't have to be stock traders in general, but just normal people who just want to increase in money over their life. And that's why I think Bitcoin is super important for the normal person to get into and be able to understand it completely. So one worry, that's something about Bitcoin. I talked about how it doesn't have a backing, but it's also isn't government regulated at all. So the government is looking into regulations right now for Bitcoin just so they can be able to control the flow of money and take taxes on it. Because if, let's say, everyone uses Bitcoin, the government's and you can't take taxes off it because it's completely private transactions. then the person is not going to be able to take the money and take taxes and be able to run the country. So that's something that's pretty worrisome about Bitcoin. But all in all, I think Bitcoin is something super interesting, super profitable if you can learn more information about it. And it's definitely something that anyone who's just looking to make a profit or is interested about cryptocurrencies or wants to see more about the future can learn about. All right, well, thanks for listening.